Study Session 3. Theoretical Models of Reading. Introduction. A model is an attempt to give a theoretical explanation to a concept. In communication studies, models are very useful and they mostly come in graphic and diagrammatic forms. In reading, models represent different ways of looking at the concept and practice of reading. You remember, in Study Session 1, you were introduced to many definitions of reading. Similarly, there are many theoretical models of reading. 3 of them are discussed here. Thereafter, we will cap the session with one of the latest approaches to developing a culture of reading, called the family literacy approach. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to identify the 3 theoretical models of reading. 2. Identify the new approach to reading, family literacy. Theoretical models of reading. In this unit, you'll be taught the meanings of theory and a few of the theoretical models of reading that will make you understand reading as a language skill better. Defining theory. A theory is an explanation of the relationship among or the workings of the different parts that make up a concept or idea. A theory, in addition to explaining, may also prescribe what should be done or predict what will happen under certain conditions with regard to a certain set of variables. As said earlier, there are many models of reading. You're going to be taught only 3 that are considered fundamental in this study session. These are the behavioral model, the cognitive model, and the reading as communication model. Hunt and Smith, 1977. 3 theoretical models of reading. The behavioral model. Behavioral theories are all applications or variants of B.F. Skinner's stimulus response, SR theory. According to Skinner, all behaviors can be understood, predicted, and controlled in terms of habits established or shaped by a process of successive approximation by the reinforcement of a response in the presence of a particular stimulus. In simpler terms, when you give a response to a stimulus and is positively rewarded for that response, you encourage to give similar responses again, and these will later become your habit or behavior. If you are punished, the converse holds. So whether or not you continue with an action depends on whether or not the action attracts a positive or negative reward, called reinforcement. However, once an activity is established, it starts to have intrinsic reward, called momentum of its own. Reading, to the behaviorist, is an action that needs to be positively reinforced, especially at the learning to read stage. You will become an avid reader if every reading activity is given a reward. The reward does not have to be monetary or material. It could be verbal praises, marks, etc. Some electronic, computer, internet reading programs incorporate praises or commendation when you make a correct response. The cognitive model. Cognition is defined as the integrating function or activity of the brain, overriding reflex response behavior and freeing behavior from sense dominance. The cognitive model sees you as extracting meaning from what you read on the basis of the visual information you receive, the deep structures of language, and thirdly, on the basis of your life experiences. Therefore, cognitive thinkers see you as an active information gatherer. Hence, they emphasize the need to equip you with the necessary tools to gather information. These tools include word attack, comprehension, and interpretation skills. Specifically, you will need skills in structural analysis, use of context clues, use of thesaurus, and other reference books. The reading as communication model. This model sees reading as an act of communication involving communication variables such as the source, the writer, the channel, paper, medium, written print, the message or the information, the content, noise, redundancy, and the receiver, reader. Noise in reading is any extraneous signal that seeks to confuse a message. It may be physical disturbances to the ear, difficult typefaces, poor illumination, psychological and physical discomfort to you, the reader, and any kind of distraction. Redundancy occurs whenever information is duplicated in order to help the reader. In communication, redundancy is therefore not bad. In a text, it is possible to have an idea presented in words and also in pictures, charts, tables, or maps. As an experienced reader, you can jump redundancies, whereas a beginning reader needs all available redundancies. There are several variants of this model. There are those which emphasize the reader and see reading as an act of negotiation between the reader and the writer. And there are those which emphasize the message, its duplication, clarity, relevance, etc. Family literacy approach to reading. In this unit, you will be taken through the recent approach to reading, which is family literacy approach. Family literacy approach. You need to know that family literacy is not a model of reading. It is an approach to promoting a culture of reading. The approach takes you as a learner or reader as existing within a relational network of significant others, parents, uncles, aunts, and others who exert considerable influence on the entire gamut of your decision-making process. It is like you are in a family that inculcates in you the culture of reading. The approach, which started in the mid-1980s, TED 2000, had as its initial focus parents as partners with schools in helping the children to learn to read. This perspective is, however, changed. According to Morrow, 1995, page 7, family literacy now encompasses the ways parents, children, and the extended family members use literacy at home and in their community. Family literacy identifies the whole family as the site for reading, and so reading occurs not always as planned programs, but often spontaneously in the course of daily routines of family life. In addition, activities and opportunities for reading are paralleled in variety and abundance only by the variety and abundance of family living itself. Ojebode and Sonibare forthcoming. This, no doubt, brings instant functionality to a reading skill as soon as it is acquired. When formally organized, life skills such as budgeting, job readiness, cookery, and family health practices can be inculcated into a family literacy program. TIES 2000. For example, in a family literacy program in Chelsea, Massachusetts, caregivers, parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and children come together to read and also to learn about the history and education of the United States. Parator, 1995. The family literacy approach seems to offer a great promise in promoting a culture of reading, for it makes reading a natural part of the cultural and socialization process, with many of your agents of socialization directly involved with you. Study session summary. In this study session, you've been taught 3 of the theoretical models of reading. Behavioral models sees growth in reading as dependent upon positive reinforcement received by the learner. The cognitive model emphasizes your thinking process as well as your background or experience. Language structures and the text and the communication model sees reading as communication. Also, The family literacy approach to reading emphasizes the learner's human network and seeks to involve them in making use of reading. End of study session 3. Thanks for listening.